Hey there folks, Uncle Troy here. My printer just died, so I'm sad. But today we're going to talk about The Evil Dead, a movie I just saw. But first we're going to say hello to some new subscribers. Okay, and once again, if you did not see your name on the list there, try back on the next video log because I sometimes record these video logs a week or two before they're actually in place, before they go live, so to speak. So last night, my nephew decided we needed to go see Evil Dead, a new horror movie that just came out. And he thought I'd like it because it's a remake of an old movie, an old movie, a movie from prehistoric times, a movie from before time began, a movie from before he was born, which means it's ancient and useless, a movie which came out in the year 1981, which I remember because I was alive back then. Anywho, but the Evil Dead movie from 1981 starred a young up-and-coming actor named Bruce Campbell, which everybody now knows as a has-been, or a never were. But I really enjoyed that movie for a couple of reasons. One, it was a horror movie, but it had comedy elements. And I like my comedy with a bit of horror, and my horror with a bit of comedy. Uh, and secondly, it starred Bruce Campbell, which I had by that point seen in a few other movies, and I kind of like him. And three, it had starring in it, well, I won't say starring. As far as I'm concerned, it was starring a 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88, very similar to one I used to drive. So I thought it was really cool, that I drove the same car that was in that movie. All right, now we're going to have to get into some details about the movie, so we're going to consider this a spoiler alert. Spoilers, Mr. Frodo. I hate spoilers. Okay, so the original Evil Dead movie, back from the ancient 1981, it was basically about, I think, five friends went up to a cabin in the woods, found an evil book, which caused the evil spirits to come out and possess them one by one. And eventually there was just one person left who managed to destroy everything, and, he's okay. Except at the very end where there was a hook for a sequel. Naturally, there was a sequel, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. And the original Evil Dead, like I said, was a horror movie with some comedic elements. It was, it was a horror movie, but it was funny. And Evil Dead 2 kind of went more comedy, less horror. Eventually there was Evil Dead 3, Army of the Dead, or something like that, or Army of Darkness, I forget. I haven't watched that one in quite a while. That went totally comedy with just a few horror elements. And I think that was my favorite. I actually have that one on DVD. So they went and remade the first one, and according to the crazy speculation on the internet, I guess you should say, according to that, there's going to be at least two more of these new Evil Dead movies, and then a seventh movie, which will combine the two movie franchises into one finished product. So basically, you've got the original three movies. There are going to be three more movies, and then a seventh movie, which is going to put them all together, make a very interesting thing. We hope. Now, the first movie, like I said, I really liked it because of the comedy elements. So I was hoping that the remake would be something similar. Actually, it wasn't. There wasn't a whole lot of comedy involved in the first in this movie I watched. So what happened was I was getting ready to leave work. My nephew gave me a text message, which I don't encourage people to do because I got one of these prepaid phones. This is what they call some people call it a Social Security phone, because apparently they used to give these phones out to people that was on Social Security benefits, so the government could track them with the special locator chip inside. So basically, anytime you used your Social Security benefits card, supposedly a computer in Washington, D.C. would track the location of your phone to make sure it was you using your card. And you had to keep this phone with you and on at all times if you were on Social Security benefits. At least that's the story they used to tell people. Me, I got it because I basically had a prepaid phone. It quit working. Oh, I have mail. Reminder, turn off your mail alerts when you're recording a video. So Basically, my phone quit working. I had a prepaid phone card with some time left on it. Basically tried to get a refund on the card I just bought with the prepaid time. They said no refunds. So I turned around and offered to sell my prepaid card to anybody in the store at the time for like half face value. And I said, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. Went and dug through a bunch of phones that had been turned in, found this one, activated it, transferred my minutes over, and that's why I'm still using this phone many years later. So the nephew texted me, and that's about all this thing will do is make phone calls and text. Nephew texted me, said, Evil Dead's coming on tonight. Do you want to go see it? I said, sure. Went from work straight to the theater. Bought our tickets. I think it was like $6 a piece because we live out in the boonies. And then I paid $5 for a drink not this big, full of Diet Coke. And we watched the movie. And like I said, I'd seen Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead 3. Lots of comedy, lots of black humor, lots of funny parts, even though it was horrifying. So I was expecting pretty much the same with this recent remake of Evil Dead. And it started out pretty much the same. You got the 5 friends go to a cabin in the woods, find the mysterious book and evidence of bad things happening. And of course, the evil demons start possessing people. People die. Lots of gruesome stuff. In the end, there's one person left. Not getting too detailed for you. But what was completely lacking in this movie was humor. Like I said, I enjoy the humor of the Evil Dead series. This thing didn't have a whole lot of humor at all. I can't remember one time I laughed. I mean, I was squicked out a few times. Ooh, gross. They did some very good special effects, but nothing like the Evil Dead that I grew up with. The original Evil Dead was made on a shoestring budget by some people who were just starting out in the film industry. They didn't know a lot about filmmaking, and they didn't have access to a lot of money for special effects, so they did things differently, and it was a pretty unique visual style, I guess I'll say, to the special effects. And in some cases, that carried over to the new movie, even though it was done with newer, more modern techniques. And overall, the special effects were, easily as good as, any of the original movies. Special effects good, script good, good story, just no humor. And I kind of liked humor. I was also went into the movie expecting a cameo appearance by Bruce Campbell, because that's what I read would happen. And unfortunately, no. I mean, he gets a teeny tiny little, well, again, spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled by the movie, don't listen to me. Spoil the movie. Okay. In an early scene, there was a person under heavy makeup, which I thought was Bruce Campbell. Turned out that wasn't him. And at the end of the movie, near the end of the action sequence, I guess you should say, there was a perfect opportunity for a cameo by Bruce Campbell, I think, and they missed it. And then at the very, very end, if you sat through all the credits, then at the very end, there's this little short clip of somebody who's supposed to be Bruce Campbell saying, Groovy. Which my nephew, who had never seen the original movies, I think he may have seen Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, but not, I think it was either 2 or probably 3 before Bruce Campbell started the Groovy thing. So I don't think he'd ever seen those. So if you want the short version, which is way, too late, I think it's a good movie. It's a good horror movie. It's not may not be a good Evil Dead movie because there wasn't any humor. Like I said, I watched the Evil Dead a long time ago, followed by Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 3 I actually purchased on DVD, and that was the cause of several sleepless nights, actually sleepless days, because back then I was working night shift, and here's what I'd do. I would put in a DVD and start a movie playing on the television in my bedroom, lay down and sleep. And I'd be doing this at 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning after I'd worked all night. And I would adjust the volume to where it was just loud enough where I could hear it, lay down, go to sleep. Evil Dead 3, the DVD menu, was like a 5-minute loop of, some blood dripping and some weird things in the background. I forget exactly what it looked like. But the main point was that after every 3 or 5 minutes, the DVD menu would recycle, and when it recycled, I think something would jump out at you or slide in from the side. That's supposed to shock you, and there'd be a scream. Ah! And that scream was several decibels louder than any other part of the movie. So if you had watched the movie, had adjusted the volume to where it was just right for sleeping, then every 3 or 5 minutes afterwards, after the movie was over, you'd hear, ah! Which was just enough to kind of half wake me up and wonder what's going on, and then lay back down to try to go to sleep, and then 3 or 5 minutes later, ah! And would wake me up again. And I had, like I said, several sleepless days before I realized it was doing that. And I just happened to be awake at one point. Because, when I did finally wake up to get ready to go back to work that night, first thing I do would hit stop and eject on the DVD player. So I just happened to, be awake at the right time looking at the screen when the whatever special thing it did, and then I realized, oops, that's the reason why I've not been sleeping. That thing's been going off every 3 to 5 minutes. Another reason I didn't like Evil Dead movie, the remake, was that I went into it expecting to pay an arm and a leg. Like I said, I got a local in the boonies movie theater, which charges like $6 or $7 for a regular showing of a movie. A friend I worked with who had just went to the movies recently with his children basically tried to tell me he had to pay $12 a piece. $12 for him, $8 for the children. So I don't know where he went, which theater he went, or what movie he was seeing, but obviously that wasn't the case here. I think maybe he was exaggerating things just to try to, I don't know. You know how men are, we pick on each other. So he may have just been exaggerating. So I was going there expecting to blow $50, and actually I ended up blowing about 20, $6 or $7, maybe $8, I forget, for me and my nephew a piece. Like I said, $5 for some popcorn or some Diet Coke. It didn't go for any popcorn because that's got a lot of calories and a lot of fat, and I'm trying to cut down. And actually nowadays I can't drink Diet Coke anymore because I went to a different doctor who, I'm going to cover this in my next video log because we're going to talk about doctors and diabetes. But the short version is you go to one doctor, they say do this. For example, I went to a doctor who said because of your diabetes you need to switch from regular Coke to Diet Coke. Okay, so I did that. Took me 6 months, I think, of solid effort before I could drink a Diet Coke without gagging. So I did that. And then I went to a different doctor that said, oh, no, get away from Diet Coke. You want to get away from carbonated beverages. So I switched from Diet Coke to tea and some of them little flavor packets you can get. You can put in a bottle of water, shake up, artificial sweetener so there's no sugar in it. So they switched me from regular Coke to Diet Coke to tea and other things. So I went to a doctor today, and apparently artificial sweeteners and flavoring and artificial coloring are the worst thing you can have if you have one of my conditions, so nothing but water. So now we have water. And I'll admit, I live out in the boonies. I have a well, so I have some of the best tasting water in the state, possibly in the country. Wonderful, wonderful water with just the right mix of chemicals. Not chemicals. No chemicals, the right mix of dissolved minerals is what I'm trying to say. Just the right mix of dissolved minerals to give it a taste, flavor, texture. So it's real good water. Good stuff. Which I'm drinking a lot of. And so I'll probably end up getting me a bottle or something and start sneaking this in the movie theaters or something because, all they sell are diet drinks or bottled water, which is, even though it supposedly comes from, we've got a local bottling plant here, just a short drive from my house. And supposedly they are taking water from a spring, which is a short drive from my house in another direction. But, I don't know, they're filtering it, they're electrolyzing it, they're doing something, and it comes out tasting flat and terrible. Bleh. So, I hate bottled water, which is why I started them flavor packet things to put into water. So, I'm going to probably have to start carrying around a gallon of my well water to the movies and whatnot, which is probably going to get me in trouble at some point. So, if you hear about a old man that was arrested at a movie theater for trying to smuggle in water, that would probably probably be me. So I checked my DVR. At some point, I have recorded Evil Dead, the original movie, and it's on my DVR. It's all queued up, ready to watch right over there, which you can't see because you're not looking at my screen. So I'm going to check that out. So I probably won't sleep tonight. I had a little trouble, just a little bit of trouble sleeping after watching Evil Dead in the theaters because it was a pretty scary movie. So anyway, that's what I've been doing of late. This is Uncle Troy signing out. Please have a good night.